You can start.
Good day. My name is Acho Eze. I'm currently a 300 level cybersecurity, 300 level IT student at Think Cyber Nigeria, and I'll be taking you on the course XE103 Linux Commands Defense Real Life Application as a cybersecurity analyst. Beginning with the introduction and objectives, as a cybersecurity professional, you don't just learn the theory, but you actively engage with tools and commands that are used in the field. This presentation will show you how the training and analog systems translate into tangible defense strategies against cyber threats. From analyzing logs to securing sensitive data and automating tasks, we'll explore how every skill you acquire can make a difference in roles such as SOC analyst, penetration tester, and incident responder. Under this course, topics that we covered are Linux commands, text manipulation, searching, network services, permissions, bash scripts, and TR, which is translate. Beginning with the first lab that we had, which is Linux commands. What are Linux commands? These are commands or programs that instruct the operating system on specific tasks to do. They are essential for system, file, and directory settings. Now, real-world application of this is that it is used for monitoring security analysis and incident response in an SOC setting. Some Linux commands that we talked about or that we touched during the course of the class are ls, which is to list, cd, touch, grep, and clear. Unless perform some of these commands on the terminal.
So before you go on, can you slow
Now,
down the pace at which you talk a little bit? Talk slowly. You're speaking too fast. Okay, you
oh,
can continue.
sorry. Okay. So beginning with some of the commands, like I said, ls. Now, what ls does is that it lists out the files and lists out the
Okay, can
file
we move to
contents of.
can we move to the use case part? The use case part you have for this particular
All
lab.
right. All right. Okay, now for the use case parts, we have investigate unauthorized user access and system activity. The scenario. Situation. You are a security operations center SOC analyst monitoring a Linux-based system. Recently, you've received an alert regarding a potential unauthorized access attempt. You have to access the file auth.log.txt and determine the users and IP addresses with repeated failed logins. This could indicate a brute force attack. Now, the task, which is to use Linux commands to determine brute force attack. And the commands that will be running is this command here. Let's go on to Kali and break down what that command is all about.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I think this is okay. Can we move to the next slide?
Oh, all right. Moving on to the next slide, which is text manipulation. Now, text manipulation in Linux involves using various command line tools like search, modify, and extract data, like search tools to search, modify, and extract data from text files. Now, the real-world application of this is to analyze log files to detect brute force attacks and unauthorized access. The use case, we could use text manipulation to extract the attacker's IP addresses from the failed login attempts. We could also count the amount of failed login attempts as well and detect the IP addresses. Now, the scenario. As a SOC analyst, you are tasked with identifying and extracting all login attempts that contain the username root from the auth.log text file. You need to list the usernames along with the associated IP addresses, then filter out duplicate entries to get a list of unique login attempts. The task is to filter out unique IP addresses using text manipulation. The action, this is the code that we'll be running to complete that. Let's go on to Kali.
No, no, no. Can you have a screenshot of the result, right?
Yes.
Show me the
Should I just
screenshot
say
of the result. On
no, the
you don't have
result?
it
I didn't do
on
here
the
because I
slide.
wanted to. Yes, because I wanted to perform it.
Okay, all right. Let's see it then.
All right. Now, Before we perform this command, let's break down what it's all about. Cat calls out this file, we were told to look
Do
through.
you have the
Then grep,
ox.log file? Do you have this file in this directory?
yes.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Then grep, what does grep do? Grep searches through this file for this username because we were asked to look for usernames with this name root. Now, we were also asked to print out the username alongside with the IP address. So what this does is that as it calls out this file and brings out every line that has this root, it is now going to print out this column. $9 means column 9 and $11 means column 11. And this is the column for the username for the user, and then this is the column for the IP address. Then what does sort do? Sort then arranges all the IP addresses and the usernames in order, and the unique then it ensures that only brings out one instance of the IP address and the user in case the IP address and the user were called multiple times or are present multiple times in this file here. That's what unique does. It brings out a unique instance of it. So let's run as you can see, it prints out the user alongside the IP address as we were asked in this scenario.
But what were you supposed
Now,
to? Is it root you were supposed to bring out, or because what I'm seeing here is user. It's a username root. So what you're getting is user, not root. Can you? So that should be 10. Can you show us the log file itself before you started um the log file itself?
this is the log file, sir.
Okay. What else was in your command? What else is in your command? After
I
cat, you grep what?
grep,
Grep what?
I grepped roots.
No, you should grep field. Because if you are looking for you should grep field. You should grep field, then field, then if it's root you're looking for, they're not specific about invalid, then that's actually issue. If it's root for invalid user, you have to be specific. Can you come back to your slide, please? You see what you did was wrong. Can you come back to your slide?
No, it didn't ask for the scenario didn't ask for field login attempts.
There's no way you can actually have root. You can either say, talk about root being what? An invalid user and a valid user. I hope you get it. Now,
Yes, sir.
in a working environment, you can have a username root. Now, or there's no root. Now, if you are talking about brute forcing are all failed attempts. Do you get it clearly? They are all failed attempts.
Yes, sir.
Now, you have to actually classify them under grep as failed attempt, not just only roots. Now, when you bring out failed attempt and invalid what attempt, if you want to look at root in both, because they are invalid, you have to specify invalid to show that this particular attempt was a brute force attempt. Then you can now actually hawk that out. Please move on to the next lab. Next lab.
All right. The next lab is here, searching. Linux, being a powerful and flexible operating system, offers a variety of tools to search for files and directory. For example, find. The real-world application of this is to identify vulnerable files and misconfigured permissions to prevent breaches. The use case, you could locate sensitive and specific files. Some commands we could run are find all world writable files, which is this code here. So let's go to our Kali.
Sorry, what's the use case you have? Okay, all
To
right, that's
find
fine.
all world writable files.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
So what does this code do? Find is the command that we're using to search through the directory to find the file type. The type is file, which is F here. Now, what does this flag mean? Prime and 007. Remember, we're asked to find world writable files, which means that this here is the permission for the file type that we're looking for. 777 means that the user, the group, and others have read, write, and execute permissions. So let's search for this. As you can see,
Can you actually repeat that command and add a sudo to it? Repeat that command
yes,
and add a sudo to it. Because what I'm seeing here on your code, okay, you've not gotten to the scenario. Repeat this command and actually find put it a sudo to it.
okay. Kali is glitching.
Okay, what directory is that forward slash? What the directory? That's you're actually looking at looking for what? You're looking at it in the what where you have the system file. Why don't you look for it in your what current directory or specify it on another directory? When it comes to the system file, you have problem. Can you stop this? Change the directory of that particular command. That same command, change the directory. You are still in the system file. Navigate away from the system file. You can actually put a dot so that it will actually look for it in that particular directory in which you have. Change that permission file to 664. Change that permission to 664. Let's see if this your command is working. Good. So you see, it's not all file that actually has those particular stuff you are saying. You see that it's actually bringing the not all file, those are execution file. Most of the file, this is the default file. You understand? So when you actually present anything, try to demonstrate your mastery of what you're doing. Do you get it? When you create a file,
Yes, sir.
the default permission is 664. You hardly get a file that comes with 777 simply because maybe you are the one who set those files that way. You only need one 7 to actually make it an execution file. Let me see what such a scenario case study looks like.
Okay. You are working as a SOC analyst on a Linux server, and you've been tasked with conducting a search to find all directories named docs, which might store sensitive data documentation, files that are larger than 100 MB large files might contain data sets and files that have been modified in the last 7 days. And the task is to find all directories named docs, all files larger than 100 MB, and all files modified in the last 7 days. Then to find files that are larger than 100 MB.
All right, that's fine. You can actually move on to the next lab.
All right. So moving on to the next lab, network services, monitoring and securing services. Now, network services refer to applications or processes that run on a server and provide functionalities to other computers clients over a network. These services listen on specific ports and wait for incoming requests. Now, the real-world application is used to monitor network services to detect and mitigate unauthorized access. The use case to check active network connections. Let's run this code. Now, let's explain what this code does. So, here, this is the command that tells us, or that brings out network connections. Now, what does this flag here, -TULNP, do? -T is for TCP connections. -U is for UDP connections. L, L is to list out, the connections, and then N is for the numerical, numerically listed, and then P is for the process ID of these connections. As you can see here, this is
Okay, can
TCP
you
using
do sudo?
IPv6.
Can you add sudo to
And
that
then
command? Hello, can you hear me? Can you add sudo
yes,
to
sir,
that
yes, sir.
command? Let's actually see the full add sudo to the command. Okay, good. That shows us services that are actually up and running and services that are not up and running. Okay, can you move to the use case? What do you have on the use case?
Mm, That's the first one. Then the second one is see the status of all services.
What do you say you have for the use case?
To see the status of all services.
That's not a use case, that's a command. That is not a use case. This is a command. Let me see that presentation let me see that presentation one more time. This is just a command, this is not a use case. There are other use cases you can actually do to actually bring out a use case in using network services. This is not a use case. This is not a use case. Move to the next. This is not a use case.
Next, we have permissions in Linux. So now every file and directory in the Linux system is assigned three types of permissions. One, the user, which is the owner of the file. Group, which contains multiple users, and other, any other user that has access to the file. So now real-world application is to prevent privilege escalation by correcting file permissions. Use case secures sensitive files to mitigate exploitation risk. Now some commands that we could run is to show default permissions of a new file. So let's create a new file called new_f, then find the default permissions.
We don't, we
So
don't, we don't, we don't, we don't, we don't need to waste time on that. What's the command to actually change? Talk about chown, talk about ch mode, talk about change group. Did you add that to all those?
yes, it's in my scenario.
Where's the scenario?
Can't you see my screen?
Okay, I can see your
This
screen. Can you read
yeah,
that scenario? What's the scenario doing?
okay. As a system administrator, you need to create a new user on your Linux system and ensure that the user has sudo privileges. So now let's go to
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's fine. Can we move to the next lab?
all right. So the next lab is is lab 6, which is batch scripting. Now, this is a command shell, which is a shell. That means a shell script is a programming language in itself. It can define variables and functions and do conditional execution of shell commands. Now, real-world application of batch scripting is to automate routine security tasks such as threat detection and log monitoring. The use case, write a script to check existence of a file. And this is the code to do it. Let's go to Kali and Genie,
Write a script to
which
check
is the
existence of a file. Okay. All right, that's fine. No need. Just show me the content of the script. Show me the content of the script.
okay, all right.
Just show me the
So
content
this
of
is
the
the
script.
okay, so this is it, sir. This is it. So this tells the system to run this code as a bash script. Then the if command, this is a
So,
conditional command. What it does is
all
that
right, that's fine. In the stretch of the bash scripting, what did you actually talk? Talk more about variables, talk more about conditional statements, talk more about loops.
okay. Now scenario. As a SOC analyst or system administrator, you need to create a bash script that regularly reviews flagged IP addresses in a log file or .log.txt and triggers an alert if flagged IP addresses exceed a certain threshold. Task scripts to review flagged IP addresses and alert
I'm not sure you
threshold
actually got
exceeded.
my question very well. My question said you're still under explaining batch scripting. Talk about
Yes.
the details of training you had in batch scripting because it's a fundamental part of your capability
Okay.
hub.
Okay.
Talk about batch scripting. Talk about touch the variables. You don't need to demonstrate anything. Just summarize. Talk about batch scripting. Talk
Okay.
about different type of variables, loops,
Okay.
and what conditional statements. Don't demonstrate
All right,
anything.
sir.
Just tell us.
All right, sir. So for the bash scripting, we talked about variables. Now we have internal variables, we have external variables, we have terminal variables. And for the internal variables, what it does is that it's it runs the command on the it runs the command on the bash script and it tells or prompts the user. It runs the command internally on the bash script and then prompts the user for an input. External external variables, what it does is that rather than prompting or running the command internally on the batch script itself, it writes the whole code there and then leaves a placeholder which is $1. So that once the user goes onto the terminal and types in the bash and then the title of the file, they all just need to do is to type the input right next to that and it prints it out as the echo. For the terminal variable, what it does is that it runs the command and then fetches out information from the terminal. For example, which we have GeoIP lookup for for a terminal variable. Then we now talked about conditional statements. We have if. What it does is that it sets a condition, and then if that condition is met, it echoes an output. Else, if the condition isn't met, it echoes a different output. We also talked about for loops. This is a command which helps in iteration. In case you want to repeat a command or
Okay,
an
all right,
output
that's
multiple
fine.
times, you could
That's
do
fine.
for line.
Can you talk about this your scenario and let me know what are the metrics you actually use as controls to actually monitor brute forcing?
Okay, all right, so
This is your use case. Talk about the use case. No, just explain it. You have it on your explain it. Explain it. Okay,
okay, so
is that the stuff?
yeah, this is the yes,
Okay. So where do
yes.
you have this
So
integrated? Okay.
sir, is it the file that
How
we're
does
using?
it monitor brute forcing? How
Okay,
does it monitor brute
so
forcing in real time? Like
so what it does is
if I'm attacking a system, how does it monitor brute forcing in real time? How does this your
okay,
file?
all right, sir. So this is what it does now. At the beginning here, At the beginning here, like I already said, this tells the system to run this script as a bash script. Now we define the threshold for flagged IP addresses. Flagged IP addresses are addresses that have failed login attempts. Now the threshold that we've defined is 10. 10 is the threshold that we've defined for the flagged IP addresses. Now the log file, which is the file it would go to look through. Now the path to log file is this, and this is the log file that it will be looking through. Then what it will be looking to.
What I'm saying is this thing happening in real time or after you have actually logged the file, you want to investigate the file?
After.
So please
Yes,
define
sir.
it clearly. Define this clearly. Now, there are different
All right, sir.
approaches to it. Now, if you want to actually create an alert on a real-time network, it's a different approach from what you're doing because you have to physically go into the configuration files and actually change the parameter. I hope you get it. So the next time you are coming
Yes,
with
sir.
the
Yes, sir.
scenarios for this, it should be what you are actually
Real time.
implementing it in real time, not a logged recorded
All right,
file.
sir.
Do you get it?
All right,
So
sir.
you tweak the
Yes, sir.
parameter of the system so that when things like that start happening, you understand it will actually give a
Yes, sir.
penalty. And possibly, if you want it to actually send out log, you can actually do that. You can continue.
Yes, sir. All right, sir. All right, sir. So, like I said, this is the threshold that we've defined for all flagged IP addresses. And the file that it will be looking through, we've defined the path here to be this.
So
So these are
there's
placeholders
no
that we've kept.
hot.log.txt, except you are the one giving it txt. It's actually hot.log in Linux. There's actually no extension, except you are the one adding the
Yes,
txt
I,
file.
I saved it. I saved it like that.
Okay, all right, that's fine.
Yes, sir. So now
So
within the.
this basically just text manipulation. I think it's okay. Let's move. But looking at what you do, what do you think actually determines it? What are the parameters that you want to actually use to actually benchmark a brute force? Now, if the frequency of logging is so fast, so time has to. You can't talk about frequency without talking about time. They work hand in hand. Now, if I taking a if I want to log in into my account, I can't log in multiple times within just 1 minute.
Yes,
So
sir.
you can't talk about metrics of actually doing what setting a flag for brute forcing without actually including time. Do you get it clearly? So there must be time
Yes, sir. Yes,
added
sir.
to what flagging the IP. If the login rate
Yes, sir.
is actually same login rate within a particular seconds, 30 seconds or one exceed a particular amount, then it shows
Yes, sir.
it is brute forcing. Do you get it clearly? So
Yes, sir.
that's what it is. Now let's move to the last part.
Okay. Lab 7, which is TR translate command. The name TR stands for translate or transliterate. At its core, the command is used to transform one set of characters into another. Now, the real world application of this is process and transform data during forensic investigations. The use case is to format extracted usernames and remove duplicate IP addresses, encrypt data using Caesar cipher. Now, some commands that we could run are to convert words to uppercase, which is this. What it does is it calls out the file or the contents of the file. And then here, as you can see, TR A to Z
So what's the
is the
use
what does
case?
this mean?
What's the use case for this? What's the use case you have for this?
Encrypt data using Caesar cipher.
Okay.
For data
Um,
encryption, yes, sir.
okay. Um, okay. Well, how do you actually apply that?
All right, so let's use the scenario to explain that. So as a penetration tester or security analyst, you need to encrypt some sensitive data in a file hackers.txt using a Caesar cipher. The Caesar cipher is a basic encryption technique where each letter in the text is shifted by a specific or by a fixed number of positions in the alphabet. You will use tr command in Linux to apply this cipher to the contents of a file. And the task is to encrypt data in a file, this file here. So the action is this. This is the this is the command that we're going to use. It's supposed to be cat impact. Let's go to
Okay, yeah,
Let me break this code down.
that's fine. That's fine. In the scenario you did yesterday, you actually saw I'm trying to ensure that for every time you actually have interface with us, yeah, you get to see. Now, most of the time, go back to that TR before we now go get to most of the time we only have 7 minutes more. Most of these things are actually done at the back end of a website. You understand? So they could translate something there and leave it there. So very few people will actually understand it to come and pick it up and actually translate it back as an information they want to pick. Now, let's actually see your conclusion and briefly take the Siberian Arena question. You have five of them to answer.
All right, sir. All right, sir. So in conclusion, we've seen
I'm not hearing you. You're muted.
manipulation, services, monitoring. I'm not muted. Can you hear me?
I
I'm
can
not
hear you
muted.
now. I
Sir,
lost you for a while. I can hear you now.
all right, sir. By mastering essential tools and commands like Linux commands, text manipulation, network service monitoring, permissions, batch scripting, and data transformation, we not only enhance our technical expertise, but we also strengthen our capacity to proactively defend systems against cyber attacks, whether you are monitoring logs for unusual activity or automating security tasks, or ensuring the integrity of sensitive data. These skills form the backbone of effective cybersecurity practices, as well as added benefits. As you see here, it gives certification as well. You can see my certificate I've gotten from the course XE101 Linux Fundamentals.
All right.
So I hope
Okay.
the presentation has
Let's
highlighted the
move to
value
the
of integrating
question and answer session. Where can you find the system log
all right.
files? Can you name a particular system log file, three particular
You
system
can
log
find
files, and tell me where you can find them?
okay, you can some particular log files we have for Apache 2, we have for SSH, we have for um HTML. You can find all these in the var slash the directory var log.
Okay, at this
Do you hear me, sir?
stage, yeah, I can hear you, but you need to be very specific when you
Okay.
talk. Do you get it clearly? Now, SSH is
Yes, sir. Yes,
actually,
sir.
is it in his own directory or SSH actually is in what auth.log? Now,
It's in
VS,
auth.log, sir.
yes, VSTPD is where do you get FTP log files?
You can get them also in auth.log, sir. In
No.
the var slash log directory.
Are you sure of what you're saying?
You say where
Now, where do you get are you sure of what you're saying? Where do you get Apache 2 log files?
we find the log files for FTP. You go into the directory var slash log, and then you search for Apache 2. You log into the directory, and then you find the auth.log files for Apache 2.
It's not hot.log. It has its own log name. It has its own file that logs. You get it clearly. Now, you see this part, you failed it. Do you understand? You have to be specific, not assumption. You might mention SSH. SSH is actually, now, I'll ask you again, FTP. Where do you have the log files for FTP? All right. Are you there? Let's move to the next question.
Okay.
What is the output shown when you run the command free-h? What is the output shown?
Free FNH. it shows the system of memory usage in human level
How do you display the system uptime?
system of in demand uptime on
Okay,
Linux terminal.
just you have two questions more. Explain two ways to display the size of a file.
All right, so to display the size of a file, you could use one, the ls-lh command to display the size of the file. It will display the permission and also the size of the specific file you're looking for. You can also use du/sh. It will show you the file size as well. So you could use ls-lh and du-sh.
Okay, can you tell me, how can you terminate a running process?
Okay, to terminate the running process, you use the command kill, and then you type in the process ID of said process that you want. So
Which
you type
flag,
kill, and then
which flag exactly do you use to actually, um, which flag do you use exactly to actually finish the command? There is a flag that actually enforced killing the process. If you don't know it, let me know
when
you
I
don't.
when I run it on
Let me know you
when
don't
I
know it, so that
when I
so that
run
you
it
don't waste
on
my time. All right, that's fine. We're not here to start arguing. So do you have any question for us?
uh mm, can for this TR, can it be used to, or since we've also been able to use it to encrypt data using Caesar cipher, can we use TR to find the hash of to find the hash value or to find the hash of your data as well?
Okay. I will share later today. I will share some cybersecurity updates so that what you are information you are getting from here is actually in tandem. It was now quantum computing is actually coming in now, and actually most of the encryptions you have is AES and RSA. Now quantum computing has actually now it has its own thread. A new invention in quantum computing just came out. I'll come back to answer your question now. Um, the hackers are already harvesting RSA and AES, waiting for quantum invention to come so that they can use it to actually break. Now, things like SSH, I think you do that in your penetration testing. Now, it has a private key and public key. You understand? Quantum computing, when it comes out, to be able to break the public key amidst other stuff. However, you understand, security bodies have actually advising quantum computing and encryption. Now, for the use of what hashing and this thing, so it's only quantum computing you can use to actually break such hash, decrypt such hash. Now, what we have currently in cybersecurity, this particular site, CISA cipher, as you can see, it is not a one-way traffic. It can be decoded. Now, it's only to actually send special communication where you don't want everybody to actually understand what you're trying to actually do that industry uses. Most of the time, it's not compulsory that it should be in a file. It can be at the back end. It can be at different places.
Yes, sir.
All right. I think we're done. So you
Yes,
can,
sir.
have you submitted your project?
No, not yet, sir.
Okay, all right. You can exit the platform. Thanks and congratulations. So we see you on Tuesday, on Monday morning for the solution, and on Tuesday we will start Python fundamentals.
Okay.
You can share your screen and start.
Okay. So, um, my name is Tao Michael Oluwashinaru.
But I showed you
TCN
guys how to
251.
use. I showed you guys how to use. What is its name? Gamma. Come. How come you're presenting?
Yes, I used Gamma. This is Gamma.
Okay.
This is
This
Gamma.
okay. You extracted it from Gamma. Okay. All right. That's fine. Put it in a
Yes, sir.
presentation mode. Put it in a presentation mode. Let's see.
Okay.
That's not the presentation mode. There's a knob just down, go down, come down towards the end of the slide. Okay, move it further, another place. Just before that, that's something that looks like a cup. Something that looks like a cup. No,
A
no, on
cup.
that nav bar, down, where you have notes, comments. After
Okay,
comment,
yes.
no, after notes, go to comments. Then the next one, the next one after comments,
Okay.
the next one after that,
This,
the next one after that,
this,
the next one after that,
this,
the next one after that. So
this.
that's what you use. That one.
The
No, the one before that. Yes.
slideshow.
So click on it.
Slideshow.
Yeah, click on it. It will take you to yes.
Okay.
So that's a presentation. So you can start. You can scroll back to the and start.
Okay. Okay. So my learning journey, I've successfully learned how to use
Your name
Wireshark,
is what?
Nmap, and write.
Hello.
Okay, I said my name earlier.
Okay. Start
I
all
said
over
my name earlier.
again. Start all over again from the
Okay.
scratch.
Okay. My name is Tao Michael Oluwashinaomi, TCN2501. Student code S3. I've been able to be proficient in skills like Nmap.
Hello. Can you hear me? Can you go back to that place?
Yeah.
Now, what did I tell you about elevator pitch? The first set of statements you make when you actually come to talk to people. Did you practice anything like an elevator pitch?
Yes, sir.
Then your elevator pitch, repeat your elevator pitch one more time.
Okay. My name is Tao Michael Oluwashinaomi, TCN2501, student code S3. This is my defense presentation for XE103. Then I'm moving on to my learning journey. Then I've been able to learn and be proficient in skills like Nmap, Wireshark, and Bash scripting. And furthermore, my primary goal is to deepen understanding of advanced cybersecurity techniques and to be able to solve problems relating to cybersecurity issues in this our present world. And the key skills I've been able to be able to analyze log files, to be able to write bash scripts and network security too. Moving on, the real life applications from XE103 that has helped me, it has been able to bridge the gap between my theoretical aspects and to be able to solve real world applications and hands-on experience while solving cybersecurity issues in our today world. Moving on, and then I'll explain log analysis now. Log analysis is to detect unauthorized access by analyzing authentication logs, which you can do that by I can navigate to the log file and analyze authentication logs. Then automating incident response. I can use bash scripts to monitor system and respond to threats, different type of threats.
Wait.
And I
I
can
don't really get what you're doing. This is the second time you're doing this presentation, and your presentation is so bad. Can you go back to the first page? Now, what I
this
told you guys to do, I gave you a kind of format. Now, in every of the slides that shows the labs you did, now you tell us the content of the lab, the command tool technique, use case at each level, and what use case as what as a what cybersecurity analyst. Now, you went ahead and
yeah,
actually did.
I've not gotten there.
Okay, all right, that's fine because
I've not gotten there.
I'm trying to connect the dots. Now, first
This is
things
where
first.
this is where it's starting from. This is the lab demonstration. I've not gotten there yet. That's why.
Okay, all right. First things first, your elevator pitch is actually not up to standard. Now, from the elevator pitch, you're supposed to hook it into what you're doing currently, your current state, and what the takeaways from the training. My name is so and so. I'm in 300 level, so doing my industrial training with so and so people. Now, this is my project defense for X is so and so, um, name of the course, which actually comprises of so and so, and which actually teaches me to actually implement so and so as a future and so personnel. Now, I will walk you through the presentation using, and I actually still told you to actually, if you're having problem, work with the AI to generate each what slide with you. Now, you're here to get trained, but it seems like you're not taking training here. The way you're going with this presentation, you're totally off the track. Do you understand? You're totally off the track. So you're from your elevator pitch, you should hook the attention of the person listening to you. That's the essence why I told you about the elevator pitch. You can continue.
Okay. So this is the first lab here, Linux and system commands. I'll start with file system navigation and permission. This is the way to get a file permission. I can use ls-l here and the name of the file. This is what I did in this picture. I got the permissions of the file, and if I want to change the mode of the file, I can use the chmod command and the file and the name of the file. I changed it here from the normal name to 765. That's what I did here in this picture, if you can see it. Then I changed the permissions of the file, and I checked if it has actually been changed. When I did ls-l, then it showed me the permissions have been changed. I navigated the file system and I managed access controls. And in the next picture here, I used Linux system management. I changed a password of a user. Then I put a new password. Then I listed the running processes. So in the future, if I'm an incident response personnel or a penetration tester and I'm working in a cybersecurity organization and I was asked to change the permissions of a file, I can easily do this on my
So
Linux terminal, Kali Linux terminal. I
where's your
can
use case? Where's your use case?
use.
Use case. I talked about the use case, then the star approach scenario to actually answer it.
That's what I'm about to say.
No, there's no use case here. These are just, you are just displaying commands and this thing. I said you should actually add the use case to each of those labs and have you use what you have learned to actually solve the use case using a star approach: situation, task, action, and result. You have 3 more left to go. 3 defense more left to go. You need to work on yourself. You don't listen. You don't listen. Now, presentation is like beauty, and your elevator pitch is like you actually catwalking. Now, you have to attract somebody for them to actually listen to you. What you have here is not even attractive in the first place. You do not craft it very well. Now, it's to actually save you people. Now, the world is moving forward, but you are coming backwards. Nobody does PowerPoint presentation anymore in the world of AI. So I wonder what you're taking away from here. Nobody does PowerPoint presentation anymore. So we're trying to ensure that you are actually competing actively with what's being done every other place in the world. There are tons of AI tools being used for PowerPoint presentation, for presentation. You went back, put it in a PowerPoint, you're coming back. You're supposed to publish it and edit there. Do you get it clearly? Now I could see I could see made with Gamma. Sit down with tools and actually get your hands on it. This lacks what? We could not actually see history of what you have done sequentially. This is just showing it. Now you show us the command which you are showing. Then the use case. The use case shows us you understand how it's actually the hook into the industry and what it's done every time. Move to the next slide. So the whole idea is not to actually make you lose your, that, when we demonstrate now, how do you really learn? Tell me, how do you learn?
By going back to what I've been taught and by practicing it.
Now, which other ways do you learn? What you have been taught. Now, if you notice that you're not good in a particular stuff, how do you actually measure up or meet up with standard?
I dedicate more time learning that particular stuff I'm not good at.
You can actually follow success step. The law of sympathetic harmony says if you follow steps of successful people, your chances of failure is reduced to the barest minimum. Do you get it clearly? What your colleagues are
Yes.
doing are way, way better than what you are doing. And it's the same tool you are using. Do you get it clearly? Do you see the reason why same training but different outcome? Some people, God forbid, you not wait at home. Some people wait at home. Some people go there and get a job. This is not looking attractive. Your choice of team, your choice of is not looking attractive. Presentations are always colorful so that it will attract people can see stuff. Then the way you are talking makes somebody wants to stay glued to listen to you. Do you get it clearly? So I'm already pointing out what you need to work on before the next defense. You are failing these defenses back to back. Even when you know it, you see that it's not enough. You're communicating it, you're not doing it professionally. I will share your video with you so that you can look at the way you talk and share the video of the best person so that you can look at the difference. So that it doesn't look as if we're trying to just talk to you or which onto you. Do you get it clearly? So when you notice you don't have some skills, not that you don't have all, you actually work on them, or they call it converting those particular steps. Follow those success steps. You understand? I gave you a blueprint on how you segment the script so that in one page you have everything, so that in one page people are seeing all the steps. You understand? You're following professional steps. All right, continue.
So this is lab demonstration for network security and network services. And here I learned how to start a service, how to check the status of the service, how to monitor the service in log file and in real time. So in future, if I'm in a cybersecurity organization and I'm asked to start a service and monitor it in real time, I can use the command service SSH start, like I used in this picture here, and I can monitor it in real time using tail-f. And I can also ping a website by using the ping command, then the URL of the website. I pinged www.google.com, and I used the NetStart ABTN to check the active internet connections on the service that I just started. So I can monitor services like Apache 2, SSH, and FTP. I can get to their configuration files and change their configuration, which after
Where is the
I'll have to restart
configuration
the
file
services.
of Apache 2, SSH, and FTP? Where are they located? And tell me two parameters you can actually
Sir?
modify in all those services. Apache 2, SSH, and FTP.
Yes, sir. I could not add any other image to this slide. I tried adding two images, but it did not take it.
All right, let's move to the next.
And here, this is incident response for log analysis. For example, here, I'm using my text manipulation skills here to grep field password to check for brute force attacks. In a file, I'm using the grep command, awk command, and print command to check for brute force attacks in particular file. So if I'm working with an organization and I'm asked to check for brute force attacks, like to extract the IP with the most field password or field login attempts, I can use the basic text manipulation tools I've learned, like grep and awk, to fish out the IP address and other useful information from the file. And here is the bash script for automation and security. First, I'll start from this script I wrote here. The script I
No.
wrote here is
Just move. Hello, just move through bad scripting. What you've learned all through the scripting, then what? If you have a use case scenario, demonstrate it.
Okay. So for bash scripting, what I've learned different types of commands in bash script. I've learned how to use a case scenario. I've learned how to use an if, and I know that a case is better than if because it can execute multiple conditions at once. But with if, I have to be doing a condition over and over again. So what I've learned here, I've learned how to write my own bash script.
What do
Then
you
in
use bad
a real world,
scripting for? Hello, what do you use bad scripting for?
it can be used for automation and security. I can use it to detect brute force logins, and I can use it to detect all other issues relating to cybersecurity world.
Okay, all right. What's your name? Is it Michael, Taiwo, or which of them? What do they call you?
Yes, Taiwo
Which one?
Michael.
No, what's your own real name? What's your own real name? Your name they call you?
Michael.
Kai.
Michael.
You cannot be my namesake and I actually formed it like this. You understand? When you are actually explaining something, you start with the definition. Then you move towards the a like elaborate definition. You now actually move to the lab, breaking down the labs, what you learned in the labs. You now actually move to the command tool and technique. Then you now move to the what? Real life scenarios. I will explain batch scripting. Now, in batch scripting being the automation of security, you understand, we looked at different things in batch scripting. We looked at variables, internal variables, external variables, terminal variables. We covered areas of looking at within your network, how you can use a script to actually automate how you detect all the what core endpoints on your network, which is what your private IP, your public IP, your router IP, the country in which most of those IPs are actually emanating from, if it's the public IP address. You understand? Before that, went to look at having what loop. We looked at loop for loop. Then we look at if conditions. Then in if conditions, we're actually developing industry standard. But we went to I to start looking at industry standard scripts that were actually in what in the labs, crawler.sh, you understand, which is actually your I'm trying to monitor.sh, which is used to actually monitor sensitive system files and operation within the system. Are you enjoying what I'm saying? Is it actually flowing in your ear?
Yes,
I didn't rehearse it,
yes.
but I'm just trying to tell you, you understand? So you have to get to that point where you can communicate effectively. You're struggling with it. And once you start struggling with it, people will now assume you don't even know what you're saying. You know why I introduced this? Is because I have had guys in the training for months who at job interview, they started failing. When I went close to them, I noticed that they don't know how to communicate what they know. Do you get it clearly? So you are not communicating. It is not articulate. It's not joining together. You get it? So you see the way I moved all through what you did just in 2 minutes. Then you can now go into the real life scenario. You can start as an incident response personnel. You understand? I can automate my script to show me so and so and so and so. I can automate my script to actually know what all the nodes that are active when I come in for. You can display an IP sweeper. I can actually automate my script to show me all the what IP addresses that actually the login attempt process 10. So it shows you the country they're actually coming from. That's all you need to actually talk about. So most of the time, it's not the best guy. I was looking at NNPC interview. There was a first class lady who was actually lamenting that she did not make the interview while others were getting the interview. It's simply because she was not able to convince them within that 20 minutes that she actually has what they need. So you see that you are not aligning. Can we move to the last part? So those are how you present what you're doing. So take our time to watch videos of those who did very well. Where did you use reconnaissance? Weak permissions. Where did you use all this?
Weak permissions. This is where I used it. Type F-palm. You can this one. Anybody that has access to this file can execute the file and change the permissions. Is weak when it has this -002. Sorry, let me move back. -002 permission. That's when it's a weak file.
This is
So I
under
ran
what
the command.
topic? This is under what lab?
Ethical of hacking and offense security. That's
Did we
lab
do
6.
did you do any lab like this in did you do any lab like this in Linux fundamentals?
Yes, we did something particularly to show that an Mmap. It was on our guideline.
Did you do the lab one was what? In Linux fundamentals.
Lab 1 was Linux commands. Yes.
Lab 2 is what?
Lab 2 was network services.
Text manipulation.
Sorry,
Lab 3 is what?
text man. Manipulation.
Lab
Searching.
3 is what? Lab 4 is
Searching
what?
with find. Network
Lab
services.
Lab 5 is what?
Permissions.
Lab 6 is what?
CR.
Lab 6 is back
Sorry, bash
scripting.
scripting.
Then lab
Bash
7 is
scripting.
TR.
Sorry.
Now, in all this lab, where
Yeah.
did you do ethical hacking and offensive security?
I saw it in the guideline you sent to us.
Okay,
So I felt like I needed to do
can you
that.
move to the next lab? Can you move to your next slide?
Okay, this is the last one.
I'm wondering, are you really following the group? Because your presentation is way off what I expected to see. And I think we'll actually treat it on Monday. And consistently, you are making the same mistake back to back, showing that you are not growing. Yeah, you are not growing. You don't know anything about ethical hacking yet until you start doing penetration testing. You're still doing fundamental courses. Do you get it clearly? So you are not growing.
Yes, sir.
All right. Let's move to the Siberian Marina question. You are not growing in your present in this particular thing. How do you terminate a running process?
I can use the kill command to terminate a running process. The
Kill
kill command if I run it on my
which
which particular
particular
what?
flag do you use? Kill, which particular flag do you use?
To kill the command, I can use kill then the name of the process I want to terminate.
All right, that's fine. How do you run a command in the background?
I can run the command in the background by appending an ampersand sign, which is the and sign at the back of the command. Any command I input, I can put an ampersand sign at the back. That's the symbol for and.
How do you display the processes running on the system?
Okay, I can display the processes running on the system by simply running my ps aux command on my Kali Linux terminal. It will show me all the processes running on the system.
Okay, just 1 minute. What is the grep flag to search recursively?
Grep iPhone capital R can use to search recursively in subdirectories and directories.
How do you list all service packages on a Debian system?
I can use app list installed to list all the services in the package in Debian system. I can use the command apt list installed.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Just 1 minute. So I want to share you can stop sharing your screen. So I guess you actually read the interview questions very well because you actually got 22 in them. However, from your presentation, out of this 9, this 9, this 10. So where you did very well was just the Shagram Arena question. You have not been able to demonstrate clearly, you understand? So that's why the last stage will bring in outsiders so that after doing this with me for 5 times, the 6th one you'll be doing, to have outsiders that will actually come and actually tell you. But I don't want them to tell you the same thing I'm telling you. You understand? So most of the time, these guys don't have more than 45 minutes. They are life-defining opportunity. So they don't have more than 45 minutes to actually do whatever they want to do. You understand? That 45 minutes, they're not able to convince anybody. They wait for another opportunity of a lifetime for an interview. No interview stretches more than 45 minutes. In that 45 minutes, you should be able to actually convince people you know what you are saying, not just articulately and professionally. Do you get it clearly? So, do you have any questions
Yes, sir.
for me?
Yes, yes, sir. I just before now I've had issues with expressing myself. So any way you can help and give me some guidelines to
Okay, all
help me
right. The
to
fact, the
do better.
first, the first place it's this. Before you, for people like you, now I think I grew up as a stammerer. I will tell you this, you understand, so that most of the things you actually struggle to learn, actually, if you put your heart to it, you will. Let me share my screen. I'll play kind of music for you so that you can see. Um, you are muted.
Sorry. So can you hear me?
I can hear you now. You can start.
Okay. Okay. Good morning, sir. My name is Achoyim Chidera, and I'm here to present my project titled XE103 Defense, which is real life applications as a cybersecurity analyst. And this presentation is part of the Think Cyber Training Nigeria. And today's session is all about showing how hands-on labs or hands-on lab exercises can translate into real-world cybersecurity defense scenarios. So let's get started. Now, the first thing I'm going to talk about, I'm going to introduce it. Let's begin by me providing an overview of today's objectives. So the goal of this presentation is to demonstrate how technical mastery and practical applications of cybersecurity skills play a very pivotal role in defending against real-world cybersecurity threats. And we'll explore how each lab exercises that we've taken correlates to the practical scenarios that cybersecurity professionals encounter daily. So first thing we're going to talk about is Linux commands and Linux systems, right? So our first lab focused on Linux commands for systems and network management, which are basically fundamental skills for any cybersecurity analyst. Our commands are basically instructions, right, that we give our computer to perform a specific task. Now we talked about commands like echo, touch, mkdir, all of them, and I can use them.
No need to demonstrate the command.
I
Just
lose.
move on. Don't need to demonstrate the command. What you can demonstrate are use case scenarios. Don't demonstrate the commands when you're explaining. You waste our time.
Okay.
So
Okay.
you can demonstrate your life scenarios. You are still on the presentation. Where's the presentation? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
I
This is the
said move
presentation.
back to the presentation. When it gets to the use case, you can demonstrate the use case.
Okay. So, so we talked about things like echo, which are basic commands that are essential for Linux system. Things like echo, touch, mkdir, and all of that. Now, how does this relate to cybersecurity? So imagine you're working in a security operations center and there is a report of unauthorized access. How do
I'm
you
not saying the
investigate?
use case. Where's the use case?
It's
Where do you have it on your system, on your presentation?
this thing is handy.
It's not there. You use case investigate unauthorized access and system activity. You didn't put what you did, the command you used, the result you put, and all
The
those
key
stuff.
is see the key commands. See it
No,
to check login activity, cards, right here. This is the use case. This is the command. The use case is basically the scenario, while the commands are the commands that we used.
okay, all right. You can go ahead.
Should I do you want me to explain this thing? Do you want me to use it, apply it?
I don't know what
So
you actually did here. You understand? Because and I don't have time to waste. This is actually what I actually sent to you guys on your presentation. You're actually repeating here. This is something not different. Can you move? Are you done with this? Move to the next slide.
I didn't even okay. Let me move to the next slide. So the next slide is basically on text manipulation and log analysis for incident response. Now, in the second lab, we focused on log analysis, which is a critical skill for incident responders. And log analysis are like logs are basically like the breadcrumbs that attackers leave behind, right? Now, by analyzing them, you can detect events like
false
attacks.
Log analysis. You said, did we do anything like log analysis or text
yes,
manipulation?
when we use
text manipulation.
It's text manipulation, but we use text manipulation for log analysis. That's what we
okay,
do.
but that should be the
analyze...
header. That should be the header of your presentation, not log analysis. Text manipulation skills for log analysis as an incident response personnel. Do you get it clearly? So that you are communicating clearly. It's
yes,
text
sir.
manipulation skills for what? In log analysis as an incident response personnel.
Okay, sir.
You can go ahead.
Okay, so there are text manipulation commands like grep, which will highlight a specific word that you're trying to look for, the line that it contains. There are commands like awk and tr, right? And how do you use this to relate to cybersecurity? For example, using grep, right? And you grep field password, right? And then you can count basically how many failed login attempts occurred by also inputting the WC minus L. That's word, hyphen L. That is word count for the lines that your the failed attempts like occurred, the failed attempts for the cyber attacks, right? So you can also find the IPs. You can also find the you can find various things. You can find the usernames. You can find all of that through text manipulation. So do you still want me to mention, like, explain it with Kali, because he told me that I should skip it the last time?
Okay, Chidera, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now as you're doing presentations, you are explaining very well, but you can see that what you're explaining is even not on your what presentation.
It's not
what you are talking, it's not on your presentation. Now, what I said you should put it in. Now, for every lab, definition of what you're trying to do, key stuff you learned in the lab, the commands now come in, command tool technique, then a real life scenario, the step in which you use to solve it. That's what should be in each of the defense line. Do you get it?
okay.
Now,
sure.
Text manipulations are skills you put into place by using terminal commands to actually do what? Learn how to actually manipulate or what? Analyze log files. We looked at tools like grep, unique, sort, different flags of this to actually filter or work on system files like hot.log, bunch of database. With the use of these files, you can actually monitor key KPIs as an incident response personnel, like what? Total amount of what? Failed attempts on a particular on a particular time within a particular log file. Total and invalid attempts. Those are the things we're expecting to hear as regards, and I explained this over and over again. I'm wondering what's happening here.
That's what but I said
It's
all
not
of these things
here.
you just
Where
said
is
now.
it? It's not here.
No,
It's
I
not here. I'm
cannot.
not
If
saying
if I write,
no. It's
if
not
I
if
write
you
my
write all.
explanation
It's a
down,
defense. So those are the things that you should have on the slide. Are you getting it?
so the slides are like bullet points that I'll
No.
use to
The slides are
explain.
not bullet points. You should have it. You can have your slides split into 4 sessions. The first part is just a brief introductory. The second part is actually what you have done in what you did in the lab. The third part should be the commands, key commands you implemented. The last part should be the scenarios. Use the case scenarios. And I specifically talked about situation, task, action, and result. It makes you communicate your capability properly. You see, you don't have time. We started 10:25. By 11:10, we should be out of this place. You see that you're already struggling in between the presentation. You see that you are not, you can't put everything together. Now you are trying to, what are we trying, what are we doing this for? The essence of this particular activity is so that you can be trained on when you pick up a particular topic, trying to talk to somebody you are meeting for the first time. You have a systematic approach of convincing the person you know what you are saying. First, you pick what? A definition. Talk about it briefly. Then you move to what? Dabble around depth of it. Then you now talk about command. Then you're not telling me use case, how you can solve the use case. You get it? So all you're just saying, you're just talking that you're not, it's not standard, it's not professional. Can you move to the next slide, please?
This is the format I use for all my slides. The real world application.
No, it doesn't matter.
Use
Yes,
case.
just let's see what you have done.
Should I continue?
Yeah, you can continue. We're still in the presentation.
Okay, so we talked about searching, which is finding security
Sorry,
misconfigurations.
just give me 2 minutes. Just 2 minutes, please. A guy called me yesterday. Can you hear me? A guy called me yesterday saying he did his training in one called Africa, something like that. That he wants to come and do an internship with us. When I asked him to explain himself to me. You're not different from what he's saying. The training is 300,000 naira. Do you get it clearly? So the essence of this is to actually train you to know how to talk articulately. So there's a world of difference between you and those millions of people who take that kind of training under the tree. Do you get it clearly?
Yes, sir.
So when explaining anything or you're doing a presentation of a technical concept to somebody, define the concept, talk about it like a preamble, then go a little depth into it, then talk about the command. You can't do the command, the tool techniques, then what one use case of it in a real life. When you talk about real life, talk about the way you express it. We are used as a cybersecurity analyst, you are asked to actually monitor field logging within China for a particular period of time. How do you go about the situation? You talk about it, the tasks you did, the command, the action you took, and the results you got. Do you get it clearly? So people listening to you, I know, yeah, this guy is actually communicating. So if you get to the stage where you now start adding remediation, I now advise the team, after investigating and coming up with this, I advise them to actually do what? Handle this thing, upgrade their patch, upgrade this thing, upgrade this, shut down all service ports, close all port 22, close all port 21. You get to the stage where you now start adding remediation to it. Are you following me? Good. Talking in such pattern, you are saying something, you are communicating that you understand the life cycle of what frameworks, be it NIT framework, be it PSSCID, whatever framework they are using, you understand it already from the workplace. So you get to that part where that training is telling you, you look at different, there's no place you go to, they have a security framework. Nigeria, even the police, they have their own 3CISS, they have their security framework. You get it clearly. So they have a kind of framework they are working with. So this training is to let you know already how you fit into those framework. Move to the next slide, please. Go ahead.
We talked about network services and monitoring and securing, right? So in Lab 4, we explored the importance of monitoring network services, which is a crucial step to prevent unauthorized access, right? We used apt get install to install services like Apache 2, we installed services like VSF TPD, and we installed SSH, right? Now, how is this relating to cybersecurity, right? So let me help you picture a scenario, right, where multiple failed SSH login attempts are flooding the network. Now, this is where monitoring the network service comes in. In order to monitor this service, right, to see who is trying to log in and all of that, you have to go to the, you have to go to a specific path in your Kali so that you can find the log files, right? So in order to do this, you have to go to let's see, ls is a command to know where you are, so you go see it. So in order to find the log files, there's a directory called var, so you change directory into var, and then there's log in it too. So var/log is the directory. Now in this directory, you can see that there are files and there are also more directories. Now for Apache 2, which is this, you can into Apache 2.
Hello, can you hear me? You are actually,
yes, sir.
It's not a training class, it's a summary. Define key takeaways from the training. We looked at 3 different services: Apache 2, SSH, FTP. Now, I told you that's why key takeaways of the training is you should be able to actually understand what it means to actually configure the service. Configure the service, start the service, stop the service, start the service, implement it both at client end and server end. Now, monitor the service in real time, monitor the service from terminal, and most importantly, manipulate some parameters within the service, and understand where the log file and the configuration files are within the system. End of story. That's it. So when you are demonstrating Apache 2, you don't need to demonstrate. Then you show me the commands, some commands that you actually use to actually do all those stuff. Then you now go to a use case scenario. It's not more than 2 or 3 minutes. Do you get it clearly? So you don't need to show me where Apache 2 file is. I don't need to see it. All you just need to do, you should have actually done those configuration, those commands on your screen. You just had it in one part. So if you are coming to show me Apache 2, okay, are you done with this part? Okay, just walk through the slide because just walk through the slides. Then let's move towards the scenario questions.
Okay. So the key command, the use case is basically identifying the SSH brute force attacks and active network connections. In order to do this, we cat VAR log and autlog, right? Autlog is where the information for the log file for SSH is, right? And you grep field password and you edit the results, right? So that you can get exactly what you want. You can also do sort NR and head -10, which you also edit the information to bring out the top 10 logs that you can find there. Now, Netstat TULNP is also a tool that you use to listen on. Like it's used to listen on a service. So if you are trying to find out who has been trying to access your SSH server, right, you can put in this information. So you can put in this command in order to check the active network connections, and basically listen is so that you can update every time a new person tries to do it with a new IP address. The next one we're going to talk about is landlord permissions.
Okay, can you go back? Permissions are basically. Can you go back to that your former slide now? Identify use case so that you can actually take note. SSH brute force attack on an active network. Now it's a little bit vague. How you now put as a SOC analyst or an incident response, you are asked to actually investigate what brute force attempts on a particular network interface. You understand within so and so time. Situation is what insistent actually attack on a particular interface, and you investigate what malicious IP address that were actually there. Task, you understand, that's the situation. Task, investigate log file so and so. Action, the command you use, then the result. So and so files were actually detected and done. And actually, do you get it clearly? You see, it is more systematic approach than what you just put here.
Yes, sir.
Good. Move to the next slide. We hope that by the time you're doing your third defense, all this should be fixed into your what, so that even when you're doing your presentation with the university, so anybody you are talking to, when your university people come to do your check, you should approach it in that format. Do you get it clearly? So that you don't talk haphazardly. All right, let's move on. Just please summarize within 1 or 2 minutes, then move towards your use case scenario if you have one. Let's move on.
Okay, so basically, we're going to talk about Linux permissions. Permissions are your first line of defense, right? So mismanaged permissions can lead to a catastrophic breaches. There are 3 things you need to note. There is the read, there's write, and there's execute. And these 3 things that I just mentioned have number values assigned to them. Read is 1, write is 2. Read is 4, write is 2, and execute is 1. Now, this is important because it is basically the first line of defense. Now, you are able to give a file, you are able to give a file the ability for it to be accessed by an individual, right? So any other person, right, can access this file if you grant them the permission by giving them the read, write, or execute permission. Now, in this lab, we focused on securing sensitive information like C with with CH mode. You can change a file that is you can change a
What is
file
the use
that
of what? What is the primary use of permissions on file? Is to actually do what? Restrict access from one user to the other user. Now, in doing that, you actually do what? We actually looked at different permissions on file, and now you can change permissions of what? The owner. You can change the permission of the group, and you can actually use CH mode to actually do what? Create, change one permission to the other, and actually do execution file. That's the summary of what you did in permissions. Now, if you actually have a use case scenario, you can actually do a use case scenario. If you actually have it, then present it. So start with the what? Takeaway, the takeaway from the training. Now let's move to the next part.
Bash scripting. Bash scripting is automation in cybersecurity. So basically, the definition of automation is trying to make something work on its own. Like if you have a command that is repetitive, like a task that is repetitive that will consume valuable time, that's where bash scripting steps in. Why bash scripting is relevant for cybersecurity is that automation basically ensures a faster response time and allowing security teams to focus on complex threat scenarios, right? And in the bash scripting, we learned things like conditional statements, like if we learned about case, and we also learned about loops, right? And all these things are important because during automation, you want to make your work easier so that you will save time. In a scenario where you want to um check if a file exists or not, you can use the if what's it called? You can use the if statement to check whether a file exists or not, instead of actually like manually checking it or wasting valuable time. The automation is basically what bash scripting helps us secure. So that's the use case, right? The next thing is TR command.
Can you repeat that batch
Now,
scripting? I was actually in the middle. I was trying to check. Can you repeat the batch scripting? Can you repeat the
okay,
batch scripting?
bash scripting is based. Okay, bash scripting is automation, right? So automation in cybersecurity is cybersecurity analyst's best friend, right? In order to
Sorry,
stop
you say
doing
automation is
repetitive tasks
cybersecurity
that will
analyst's best
consume.
friend.
Yes.
Maybe I didn't hear what you said. What's batch scripting? Explain batch scripting, then explain a detail of what you learned, then move to use the commands, some of the commands you use, then the use case. The use case if you have one.
Bash scripting is a tool. Bash scripting is a tool used for automation in order to make repetitive work, right? In order to make repetitive work faster. So instead of doing a specific thing like after the other, bash scripting will help you automate it and make it automatic, like do it for you and
It
save
makes
you
your
a lot
work
of time.
it makes the work dynamic or phenomenal. You understand? I believe you go back and work on yourself though. You understand? Now batch scripting or shell scripting is actually used to actually automate repetitive tasks so that our outcome can be dynamic or what phenomenal. End of story. Then you move to what are they telling me what did you learn in the shell scripting?
We learned about how you can use conditional statements like if. We learned about using case. We learned about using loops. Those are the three main things we learned about, and there are more that you can do, right? So basically, if you want to check, the if statement is a statement that helps you verify a condition. So let's say you want a specific answer for something that will happen. So you give a condition, basically. And once you give this condition, the response that you want. So if this is true, echo this, and if it is not, echo this. That's what basically what the if statement is for. We used it to do things like check whether a file exists, right? So the if statement is good for that. Now we used case. So case is when you have a lot of basically scenarios that would play out. You want your user to input an option that you're giving it. Let's say you want to give the user the option to produce your IP address or produce your the area of a circle or produce your login details or something like that. You would give the user the options to select. Now the case will help you automate that process, right? So once the user selects something, create multiple versions of this of something. So if you want something to appear once or twice or 3 times or 10 times or multiple times, the TR command and data transformation for forensics. TR is very useful. Very useful command that stands for also in TR like
Hello,
the
can you go back to the
TR-D.
explanation of that? I was trying to do that so that I can actually correct.
Explanation of TR.
Explanation of your back scripting.
I should explain bash scripting again.
The
So
last
is that
part
what you
of the
said?
back
You're
scripting,
far.
you are talking about the content of what you did. Now, case is actually used to look at different iteration and different scenarios of what a conditional statement, where you can have multiple options of choices on what to actually implement. Now, with the use of terminal variable, you are able to actually have an options to actually um, look at what different endpoints within our system, things like IP address, router IP, location of the IP. So that's what you use case for. Now, you didn't talk about functions where you can have multiple functions in a script. You understand? Where you can have the function main, where you can actually call each of the function with a while loop. You can go ahead with your TR.
TR command and data transformation for forensics. So basically, TR is a very useful command that stands for translate. It is used for editing information, and there are multiple flags in TR, like the TR-D, -S, -CD. Now, the -D is used to delete information in a basically file. So you can echo out words and then use TR to delete specific things that you want. The -D is the flag that stands for delete. -S is a is a flag that stands for squeeze, right? If there is a situation where you want to there are multiple, like maybe full stops or multiple letters appearing in a sentence that you want to edit, you can squeeze it and make it one. So it converts something that occurs multiple times in the same line to one time, right?
Okay, all right, that's fine.
The
That's
flag
fine.
-CD.
Let's move to the scenario questions. Let's move to the Sabrina Marina questions.
Should I go or are you going to?
No, I'm the one. How can you terminate a running process? There are 5 questions. Each of them
You can
carry
terminate
5 marks.
you can terminate your running process by using the kill command. So you
What flag of the
input
kill
kill and then you
command?
put the process.
Okay, all right, that's
So
fine. It's okay. All right, that's fine. How do you display the system's host name?
The system's
Host name.
you just input host name, and
Okay,
then
all
the
right,
host name
that's
is
fine.
displayed.
Explain two ways to display the size of a file.
Okay, if you want to display the size of a file, you can put ls space then hyphen h, and then you have to put the file name that you want to be displayed. That's one way. Another way is using disk usage, which is du hyphen h. The hyphen h there stands for making it human readable. So you du hyphen h, and then you input the file name. So
What is the grep flag?
style.txt or
What
any
is the grep flag to search recursively?
to search
Recursively.
grep
Flag to
hyphen r.
search grep hyphen
The
r.
flag is hyphen r.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That makes it three, remaining two. How do you display the process on a running system?
The process of the running system. The processes. Um, you can use px, and in order to like ps is what you use to display processes, but you can do hyphen aux, which is used to display all of them, like to be more vast in displaying processes, to also display the process id and all of that.
How do you run a command in the background?
In
How do you run a command in the background?
use the ampersand sign. So let's say you wanted to run something in the background, like whatever command you want. You put the command there, and then you put the ampersand sign there that looks like and then you now continue with the other things that you want to run.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Do you have any question for?
I don't.
Okay, all right. Enjoy the rest of your day. You can exit the platform. You are next. now. And share your screen and start.
Can you see my screen, sir?
It's coming up. Okay, present. Click on present. Can you hear me? Okay, click on present so that it will go into the presentation mode. Okay.
All right. So this is introductions to Linux commands.
Where is the first page? The first page.
This is it.
Which side carries your name? The first page. Which side carries your name? Okay, that's the first page. That is what you should show first. So you can start.
Okay, sir. This presentation showcases the practical application of cybersecurity skills learned in course XE103, Introduction to Linux, and how the training translates into real-world cyber threat defense. My name is Dande Taiwo.
From where? What are you doing currently? Why are you taking this training?
My reason for taking this training is to learn everything I can about defense.
Hello. The introduction simply boils down that you are doing your industrial training with us, and this is your defense activity in your XE101 training. So my name is so and so. I'm doing my training so and so. At Think Cyber, I'm here to actually present my defense on XE103. Then every other thing follows. Do you get it clearly?
Thank you, sir.
Good. You can start now.
Yes. My name is Dande Taiwo, and I am a cohort of the Think Cyber Nigeria training program, and this is my defense for my XE103 training introduction to Linux commands. So the objective of this training is to demonstrate mastery and practical application of cybersecurity skills, showcase how this training translates into defending against real-life cyber threats. And the objective illustrates the use, I'm going to illustrate the use of hands-on lab exercises in real-life scenarios. Map skills to roles such as SOC analysts, penetration tester, and incident responder or incident response personnel. So basically Linux commands. We have reward applications. We use Linux environments for monitoring, securing analysis, and incident response in SOC setting, Security Operation Center. And we have the use here. We're going to investigate unauthorized user access and system activity. We can do that with basic Linux commands. So we'll use this command right here. So when you type in this command, the first command, last grep SSH, last grabs every login activity that's happened so far, and grep is used to grab a particular pattern, and our pattern here is SSH. So when you use the command, we got this. We got an output of, okay, these are the IP addresses so far that I've logged into my SSH server. We have identify unauthorized user creation. We can use ~. We can use where all the users are stored are in the etc and password file and the etc password path. So ~n will grab the last 5 activities that happen in that particular file, or the last 5 things that happen in that file. So we have this. This shows all the users so far. Now, if there's a problem, okay, a situation where there's an unauthorized user there, you can use this command, cat etc slash password until -n to actually see the most recently created users there. You can find which one is the odd one out. Now we move on to text manipulation and analysis for incident response. Text manipulation allows you to get exactly what you want from a particular file. It allows you to get whether it's the IP address, whether it's the name, the user name that whoever it is trying to use to access the server itself. So reward application, analyze log files to detect brute force attacks and unauthorized access. We have detect login failed, login attempts, and extract attacker IP address. And we can use that with this command right here, grep failed, and we have the path that shows our auth.log where all the login activities happen, and we have wc/-l, which actually counts the number of lines. It just shows us the number of lines. So when we use that command, this is what we get. We get the number of lines of the number of failed login attempts. And to extract and sort the attacker's IP address, we use this command right here. And this command will show us the IP address of all the failed attempts that we have on that particular file or in that particular file. There are other text manipulation words. We have grep, awk, we have sed, we have tr too. It's also a part of them. All of them are used in text manipulation and getting exactly what you want from a particular file. Move on to searching, finding security misconfigurations. Now, in real-world applications, identify vulnerable files and misconfigured permissions to prevent breaches. Use case, we have locate sensitive files inadvertently exposed on the server. Now, to do that, we can use these commands right here. Now, the find command is used to locate whether it's a file or a directory. It will be specified in the type. It is used to locate that. Now we have the perm here. The perm is used to check permissions. And all you have to do is specify the type of permissions you want. 777 means the person has actual full access to it. Now, when you type in that command is meant to print out all the files that have user, group, and other full access. That gives them full access to that file, and it makes that file very, very vulnerable. So when you use that command, you can see that we have multiple files like that. Now, search configuration files for sensitive information. You can grep the password, grep IRN. This will search recursively. That means in every directory and subdirectory, and is going to give all of them numbers, searching for only one word, password, in the etc folder. And we have a lot of them. You can use this to check for vulnerable files and misconfigured permissions to prevent breaches. Now we move on to network services, monitoring network services. Monitoring and securing network services. We have, so far we did 3 services. We did Apache 2, SSH, and FTP. We did Apache 2, SSH, and FTP. Now, real-world application of this, monitor network services to detect and mitigate unauthorized access. In the use case, the case in which we use this, we identify brute force attacks and check active network connections. Okay, so we can use these commands right here. The first command is asking us to grep the field password, and it's going to print out the IP addresses of the IP address of the user that has multiple failed password attempts. So when we use that command,
Sorry,
to print out.
are you in network services?
Yes, sir.
Go back to network services. What exactly did you capture for network services? Monitoring and securing services. What are the takeaways from there? Because this looks like text manipulation to me, and it's not talking about services installed, configuration files, and all those stuffs. How you actually start up the service, how you actually check the service, and all those stuff.
Okay. Basically, we have multiple services, but the ones we focused on were SSH, Apache 2, and FTP. Apache 2 uses the port 80, works on basically websites like Chrome, Mozilla Firefox. And we have SSH Secure Shell, works with port 22. You can use that to monitor a desktop remotely. We have FTP, file transfer protocol, can also be used to share files. Is the protocol used for sharing files, and port is 21. These.
Okay, all right, that's fine. You don't have that. You don't have that on this slide. You're just saying from your head. Can you move to the next slide?
All right, sir. So we have permissions in Linux, securing sensitive files. Reward application, we use it to prevent privilege escalation by correcting file permissions. And we use to secure sensitive files to actually reduce exploitation risks. The commands, we have chmod. Chmod, there's still commands like that. We have chmod, chown, chgrp. These ones, respectively, chmod is used for changing the one for just changing the permission for the others. For chown is used to actually change, you can use to change permission for the user himself. Chgroup is used to change permission for the group. You can also change with these commands, you can also change the user of a particular file, and you can also change the group in order to secure it in case the group of the file is actually in a place where it's insecure, then put it that way. And when you use this command, you can change the permission of a file so that only the user has access to it. I changed the permission of this file, and now it's only the user that has access to it.
Okay, all right, that's fine. Can we move to the next slide?
So bash scripting in general. So bash scripting, real-world applications automate routine security tasks such as threat detection and log monitoring. In this case, I'm going to write a script that detects brute force attacks. And for execution, we make the script executable by using the chmod command from permissions. Example, we can use when we run this command right here. This command prints out all the failed attempts. When you type it, when you use bash scripting. Bash scripting is mainly used for automation, and it's useful in so many cases where it's a thing that can also be running in the background while something happens, something prompts it, and then it takes effect automatically.
Okay, the last part.
So we have the TR command, data transformation for forensics. Now, real-world application, process and transform data during forensic investigation. Use case, format extracted usernames and remove duplicate IP addresses. Now, we can convert usernames to uppercase or lowercase. And that's not the only case. We can also use this tr command to encrypt a file.
Okay, just 1 minute.
So when you do, okay, sir.
You can continue.
Okay, sir. So we can use to convert usernames to uppercase. So we can use this command. And to convert everything in the file to uppercase, it can also be used to hash files. We can say so. Okay. So I created a file and I stored a particular set of text in this file. Okay.
Sorry, what are you trying to demonstrate? You're not here to teach. Is it a use case?
Yes, a use case.
What's the use case?
So
I'm not saying what use. Can you go? Can you come back to the presentation?
Okay, sir. So the use case, I'm just trying to give another example.
Okay, it's an example. It's not a use case. All you demonstrate is a use case. Now, if you actually have anything to actually show us, the command. It should be a clear screenshot of the command on your screen. So you're just starting. What you're learning is presentation and communication techniques. Now we are building so that by the time you get to the final part, you are now matured. You understand what it means to hook somebody from the first day, from the first 3 minutes of your presentation, and you can build on to actually sell yourself from there. I think you don't have any use case here. I'll talk about that at the end of the training. Let's move straight to at the end of the session. Let's move straight to scenario questions from Siberium Arena. How do you display the process running on the system?
You can use the PS hooks.
Okay. What is the difference between DU and DF?
DU displays disk usage, and DF displays the basically free disk, what is left of the disk usage.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's true. How do you count the number of lines in a file?
You can use the word count command, WC-L.
That's all you do?
In a file, you cut the file itself. After you cut the file, you put a pipe in between this particular command, then you type in WC-L. To print out.
Okay, that makes it true. How do you display the system's uptime?
You type in uptime and it will display it.
Okay, all right, that's fine. What output is shown when you run the command free-h? This is the last one.
Okay. Free-h shows how much is left of your memory in human readable form.
Okay, all right, that's the end. Now, your presentation, there's a lot of confidence in what you're doing, but it's not properly articulating. You're actually picking from the what we sent to you in high. Now, what should be there? What should be there on each page, in case you cannot actually articulate it? Now, when we talk about a use case, we want to talk about putting a use case. A use case should actually contain one, your page should contain a brief introduction, that's definition of the lab, key terms we use, and the second part can be divided into 4. The second part should actually talk about, run through what you actually treated in the lab. Are you hearing me?
Yes,
now,
sir.
what you treated in the lab. Now, the third part to talk about the commands you use. You are showing them, but they are not on one slide. Now, the last part you talk about what use case. You explicitly tell us what you are looking for. Like for network services, we actually want to monitor, see changes in what login parameters for what FTP log. Now, the situation so that we can monitor what control of anonymous login on FTP. Are you seeing that's the use case? You write it out as your use case. Now you now tell us the steps you took. Star, situation, task, action, result. You get it? Situation, investigate what parameter change in FTP and actually monitor what anonymous login. Task, so action. You show the parameters that will change. Now the result, you take a screenshot of you trying to log in. You get it? So that actually shows us clearly you actually know what you actually, everything well articulated on the same page. So one, introduction now of what the course, define it and actually do a preamble. The second part of your of the slide, you actually talk in depth of what you trained in that particular course. Like if it's batch scripting, you talk about how you move from what variables to what conditional statements to what loop for loop to while loop, then functions. Hello, are you there? Then the third part actually shows some commands. Then the last part talk about use cases. So I think that, do you have any question for me?
No, sir.
Just 1 minute. This looks good. So your score is 66. So you got 24/25 in the several mariner questions, but in the other ones, you barely got just above average. That's simply because you are not properly the labs, your presentation are actually not properly structured, telling the story, telling articulate story of what you're doing. Now, when you actually were coming in, your hook elevator pitch was not strong enough. So you don't know how to write elevator pitch currently. You can give the AI a prompt, develop an elevator pitch for me for this particular presentation. So when you come in, that elevator pitch, you should have memorized it. My name is Ayinde Taiwo. I'm a 300 level in Babcock University. This is my project defense on so lab in this season. It actually makes me to actually, I'm here to actually walk you through how mastery in what Linux, so can actually show you what pathway to what penetration testing, SOC analysis, what and you understand. So it should not more than 1 or 2 or 3 minutes, maximum 1 minute to 2 minutes. So you have the elevator pitch already ready. It should be dancing in your mouth like you are saying good morning to anybody. Did you get it clearly? So that elevator pitch is the first hook Go back to your first page. Did you get it clearly? So that elevator pitch should be the first hook. Now that you have a standard this thing, you can upload this particular script to an AI. Now tell him to actually give you what? A presentation tips on how to present each of these styles. You are moving from rookie to an expert in presentation. So you should, and one thing is creating a nice presentation. The first part is your elevator pitch. Now you can give this to AI. It now start telling you what to say at each of those words pages. In summary, now you can now look at it, master it, then come up with your own words. Did you get it? Now, first,
Yes, sir.
understanding what is supposed to be on each page. I've explained it to you. Now, the first part is an introduction of define what the lab terms is. Second part, you give a story, a journey story of what you move to in each of the lab. The third part, you show the commands. Then the last part, you give a detailed use case scenario. Define the case scenario, what you want to do, start, and then how you solve it in a star format. Situation, task, action. Then AI will now show you what you need to do. So with that, you're already building a perfect and world-class presentation skill. So I think that's all for now. Do you have any question for me?
All right, sir.
Do you have any
No,
questions
sir.
for me? Okay, all right.
No, sir.
See you in class on Monday.
All right, sir.
Please let me know if you can see my screen.
Yeah, it's up and running.
Okay. I'm just trying to get this up. All right. Are you seeing the
Yeah, I can see
presentation?
the presentation. Yeah, we can start.
Okay, perfect. So my name is Bollywood Banjo, and I'm here to defend XE103, which is Introduction to Linux Fundamentals. And in this, I'm basically going to be walking through how we can apply everything learned in Linux fundamentals to real-life applications as a cybersecurity analyst. Let me get into it. So I first want to walk you through the introduction and objectives, most importantly, because, sorry, I was trying to make this smaller. Uh, most importantly, so an overview. I'm going to showcase my technical mastery and practical application of cybersecurity skills using various things like Linux commands, text manipulation, bash scripting, searching and finding, and various other things. And an objective is to also let you know my hands-on lab experiences and how I can apply them in real life scenarios. And lastly, skill mapping. A lot of these skills that I learned in Linux fundamentals can be used as SOC analyst roles, penetration tester roles, incident responder roles easy simply as log checking on a day-to-day basis if you're a log checker. A lot of these skills, everything, each of these 3 points are going to intertwine with everything that I'm going to be showcasing. So if without further ado, let me go on to the first thing we learned, which was Linux commands in system, network, and management system. Now, in Linux commands, we have a lot of various different commands. We have file and directory management commands, things like ls, cd, pwd, mkdir. All of these are basically commands that are used to navigate between file and directories. As we can see there, we have ls, which lists directory contents, cd to change directories, mkdir makes a new directory, and we also have system information. You have uname flag A. We have who am I, DFH, FreeH, date. These are system information. These are basically commands that are used to gather system information. So you can use commands like DFH to display disk space and commands like date to show your current date. And we have process management commands as well. So PS, which lists all the running processes, top, which shows real-time view processes, and kill, which basically just ends a particular process. And lastly, we have networking commands as well. Commands like ping, ifconfig, we get ping basically checks the connectivity of a host and sees if The domain is active and up and running. ifconfig is used to view and obviously configure your network interfaces, and downloadable widget is used to download files from the internet. Now, a real-world application of this is I can use it to monitor and analyze and respond in SOC settings. So, for instance, now, if I'm a SOC analyst and I'm trying to make a directory for a particular task or for a particular execution that's going to happen in the company, I can use these commands. Or if I'm a SOC analyst and I'm trying to check something on my system, I'm trying to check the disk space that I have. Maybe I'm about to run or execute a task that's gonna have a big that's gonna take up a lot of disk space. I can use commands like this to check my current disk space to know if my system is going to be capable to this. We also have use cases, which is investigate unauthorized user access and system activity. So obviously, a very good use case of this is if I am in somebody else's system, for instance, now, and the system is
do you have the use case in this presentation?
the use case.
Do you have a use case that you did in this presentation?
No, I don't have a use case that I did in this presentation.
Okay, all right. That's fine. You can continue.
Yeah. So a use case. So let's say I gain access into somebody else's system through whatever information that is theirs. I can use commands like this to basically investigate through their system and check things that they have done on my network and check things that they have done on their network as well. And I can key commands. I can check login activity, identify unauthorized user creation by using all these various commands. Now, if I'm to go on to the next lab that we did, this was text manipulation. Text manipulation is basically the use of finding and combining different functions and commands from a output to get your own wanted output. So let's say, for instance, I use cat file. I cut a particular file. I'm now going to add text manipulations to only get my desired output from whatever was cutted from the file that I initially cutted. So we have various different text manipulation commands. We have cut, we have sort, unique, grep, cut, sed, a lot of different text manipulation commands. And these are also examples of how they can be used as well. And cat basically concatenates and displays files. Sorts basically sorts lines and text files. Each of these also have different flags. So we can also use using the name of the command dash help, we can find the different flags and their functions as well. Unique removes duplicate lines from sorted lines, and grep search for patterns and files. And there's a lot more you can do with text manipulation, but the basic emphasis of text manipulation is whatever I am given, I can add text manipulation into it to get my desired outcome so that it filters out what I'm not looking for and gives me what I am specifically looking for. Real life applications of these are real life applications of this are analyzing log files to detect brute force attacks. So something I really had fun and enjoyed doing when in class and practicing my knowledge in text manipulations was we actually had a real log file. We had real log files, and we used things like grep to find invalid usernames. We used things like grep to find failed attempts. We used things like awk to find IP addresses and where they were coming from. And we also used things like sort to slim down the number of lines. And we a lot of different text manipulations, but that's a very key real-world application of it. You can use it to analyze log files to detect brute force attacks. And a use case of this is to detect failed login attempts and extract attackers' IPs. So a perfect use case of this would be grep. So I'm basically going to cut the log file, grep failed, and awk to the digit of the place where it will only show me IP. So from this, I've managed to manipulate what I was given to get an output of what I wanted, which was attackers' IPs and failed login attempts. And key commands like this are counted failed logs and extracted sort attacker IPs. So you can also use this to count it. So you have things like WC, which will count the number of lines. And you can also unique it, which will remove duplicates. So you have single time errors. But text manipulations, once again, can be used in real life situations to analyze log files, and it is basically used to filter out what you don't want from what you are given to get what you really want and what you intend. On to the next lab, which is lab 3. searching and finding. Now, searching and finding is a very, very, very important part of Linux fundamentals because we are, as cybersecurity analysts, as SOC analysts, or as penetration testers, we are constantly faced and thrown with data, a lot of data every day, and we need to make our search for particular things more easy and streamline our job. So now we have different types of commands that you can use or different types of ways that you can search and find particular things. So when you are searching for a directory, you use type D. When you're searching for a file, you use type F. Now, if we're trying to get the size as well, search for files with, let's say, size K. Search for files with kilobytes or above particular kilobytes. You indicate it there. It's very, very easy. We have type, size, name, and we have find date and time as well. So you can use A time to find appended time and M time to find modified time. So basically, these just basically allow you to streamline your work and streamline the things you're searching for. A very good real-world application of this is to identify vulnerable files and misconfigured permissions. So basically, let's say I'm a penetration tester now, and I'm trying to identify a vulnerability here, and I see that somebody has gained access into the computer network and changed particular files or changed the contents of particular files. Using something like searching, I can use mtime and I can streamline it by putting files that were changed from 3 days ago, and I can get all the files that were modified by the hacker or by whoever gained access to the network. I can get all the files that were changed within those 3 days, and I'll use it to know what was changed. I'll use it to know the files that were changed, and then continue my investigation from there as well. Like a use case which I just explained, locate sensitive files exposed on the server. Like I just explained now, you basically locate if it's a file or a directory that you think has been exposed. You do type directory type file, the size of the files that you think have been exposed, and the modified time or the access time to check which to streamline on the days that you think, or if you even have the days that you know that the attack happened, you can use mtime as well and just put in that particular date, and that gives you a streamlined effect of things you are finding, and it basically helps you find things better. To go on to the next lab. I don't know why is this not responding? Okay. So are you still there?
I'm here.
Okay. Doesn't want to scroll.
You
Let me
scroll down.
Okay, I've seen it. It's not responding. Let me just exit it and then come back. Okay. Present. Okay. So, lab 4, network services, monitoring and securing services. This was another very fun one because here we learned how to become a server, and how we are clients, and how you can access things as from a server, and how you can also feed clients things when you are a server. A couple servers that we tried were Apache services. We tried with Apache 2, SSH, and FTP. And as a cybersecurity or penetration tester, as a cybersecurity official, we need to know how to install services. We need to know how to monitor them in real life so we can monitor real life threats that can happen. And we need to know how to navigate to configuration files so we can configure things as the case may be or as need may be. But a very key important thing that I want us to know, and a saying that is said in the cybersecurity world, is if a port does not need to be used, do not open it. But yeah, going on to the Apache 2. To basically get Apache 2, we have to do apt-get install Apache 2. We get the server, we service start it, we use service status, yeah, the thing, and then it brings up all the active services that we have, and we start the service to make sure that it's started, and we navigate to the var HTML, and we get an HTML page, and once we get whatever we want to the HTML page, we have then become the server for an Apache 2. And you basically do this by getting your IP address and pouring it into the web browser, and then you see the server that you have become. To monitor it in real life, you navigate to the var log file and then access logs. You net that APTN to check all the processes, check all the ports, check all the numbers. You tail -f just to make sure you have only the last one so you can check it in real time. And to navigate to the configuration file, you go to all configuration files are kept in the etc. So you go to etc, Apache 2 and apache2.config. That's the name of the configuration file for it. As you can see here, similar is the process for SSH and FTP. They just have different log files names and different configuration file names. But a real-world application of this as a cybersecurity official would be to monitor network services to detect unauthorized accesses. As a cybersecurity official, it is something that is very important to do is to monitor network services. And to do this, network services and what we learned in the lab is a very good example of it because we even connected. So what we did was we logged onto our mobile external tool and we connected to these various services once we launched them on our virtual machine. And we were monitoring it in real life. So if that was in a scenario of where I'm working for a company, I can monitor people that are logging in, get their IP addresses, and make sure they are not doing malicious things on the server. And another a very useful thing for the configuration file is, let's say for instance, a brute attacker is trying to brute force his way into a file. I can configure it in a way where once you get your password wrong twice, your connection is going to be timed out and it will be reported to the administrator immediately. So this is a very good real-world application of network services and how it is useful and why we needed to learn it in Linux fundamentals. A use case, like I just identify SSH brute force attacks and check active connections. So once I've turned on my SSH server and I've navigated to the log file, which is auth.log for any SSH, and I do tail-f auth.log, it will show me all the connections and it will show me the previous one. So if a brute force attacker happens to come in to my SSH port, this is why I said if a port does not need to be open and used, it should be closed, because that can only have happened because I turned it on and I opened that port. But I can monitor it in real time, and through the configuration file, I can use it to make sure that once a brute attacker gets his password wrong once or twice, they will be timed out and the situation will be reported. So with this, I can get IPs and I can get active network connections that connected to whatever port or service the attacker connected to. Going on to the next lab, Lab 5, permissions in Linux. Now, permissions in Linux, it is no wonder that some files should only be accessed by certain people. That's why we are cybersecurity officials. If everything was to be able to be accessed, we are there to protect the infrastructure. We are there to protect the data. If everybody had access to something, or everybody had access to company secrets and company files, a lot of catastrophe would happen. So a very good use for this is to prevent privilege escalation of sensitive information. And with permissions, what you do is you basically, to get the permissions of a file, you do a command ls-l. And this basically gives you the permissions or the permission of a particular file. Now, to do this, we have a octal digits and its representation. So 0 represents none, 1 represents execution permission only, so that is X. 2 represents write permission only, so that is W. 3 represents write and execute, so that is the addition of 2 and 1. 4 represents read. 5 represents read and execute. 6 represents read, write permissions, and 7 represents all of them, read, write, execute. So when you know this, you can basically use this to change the permissions. And we have different commands. So if you want to change the permissions of a file, you use the command chmod. So chmod, the name of the file, and then the permissions you're changing it to. And then you can change the group by chgroup as well. So these permissions and learning permissions in Lab 5 was very, very essential to secure sensitive files and mitigate risks. So with this, we can remove executable permissions and add users to secure groups. So if I only want a particular user to have executable permission to a particular file, so let's say, for instance, the CEO and the VP are the only people that have permission to the backlog file. And in this backlog file, the things that are saved there are company access key tokens and company finance records or company finance plans for the quarter or for the every quarterly year. So only the CEO and the VP have access to this. With permissions, I can make sure that only the CEO and the VP have executable, writable, and readable permissions to access this file. And this is a very good scenario in real life of how it can be used. Now, moving on to lab 6, bash scripting, which was another very interesting and fun lab in Linux fundamentals. Literally just used as cybersecurity officials to automate routine security tasks. It's used to automate routine security tasks. In bash scripting, we learned various things like variables. We have 3 types of variables. We have internal variable, external variable, and terminal variable. We also learned the syntaxes of everything as well. We have if statements in bash scripting. We learned how to apply for loops in bash scripting. And there's also integer conditions, things like -eq, which means is equal, -ne, which means not equal, -le, which means less than or equal, and all these things. And we also learned how to open a function and how to call the function to make it initially run. But for instance, now, a real-world application of this is, let's say, for instance, I'm trying to get the country of all the files, the country of various IPs. Let's say I have a file that contains 6,000 IPs. Manually, I'm not going to be able to, one by one, start checking the code for one IP and check the country. That's going to take a lot of time. So bash scripting is an essential way to break this down and automate this process. So I'm going to write a code that cuts all the various IP addresses, and I'm now going to create a terminal command that's when that file is cutted, it grabs out using GeoIP lookup, it grabs out that IP and brings its country, and I automate all of this out with a simple few lines of code. And we can also, a very good thing about this is just as good as when you're writing terminal commands or anything, but you are basically writing them in a script to just make automation and make your life as a cybersecurity official easier. So bash scripting is very, very fun and very applicable in real life situations because it is used to solve a lot of problems, and it is used to make routine security tasks easier. Because as a cybersecurity official, let's say you're working for a Fortune 500 company, the data you're gonna have bulk of data, and you're not gonna be able to one by one check this data, but you can automate all of these tasks that once you write these few lines of code or once you do these few lines of scripting, it does all of that for you and it gives you the results you want. The main thing about bash scripting is it was the biggest build up to everything we learned primarily, because everything we learned primarily, which was commands, text manipulation, searching and finding, permissions, all of this really came to light in bash scripting because you're going to use all of them to write different script examples, to write terminal variables, and to write loops and everything, whatever it may be. So bash scripting sum everything up in Linux and how it is useful. If we go on to lab 7, which is the last one, TR. TR is a acronym for translate, and it basically is used to process data and also give you desired outcomes that you want or desired outputs that you want as well. So we have a lot of different TR commands that we can use. We have, as you can see here in my screenshot, we have A to Z capitals, A to Z smalls. This basically converts everything in caps to smalls. We have TR-D0 to 9. So what this basically does is it deletes all numeric characters from a text. So hello world 123, hello 123 world 456. Once I apply that TR,
Okay, all right, that's
it will
fine. That's
basically
fine. That's fine. Let's actually move into the think about scenario questions, scenario
okay.
interview questions.
Okay. Should I stop sharing my screen?
You can.
Okay.
How do you sort the lines of a file in numeric sequence?
To sort the lines of a file in numeric sequence, first use the text manipulation sort, and then you put -n.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's one. There are 5 questions. Each of them you get 5 marks. Explain 2 ways
Okay.
to actually display the size of a file.
2 ways to display the size of a file. You can use DU and free H.
That's DU
LS minus L and DU. DU-H.
and what?
DU-H and LS-L.
Okay, all right, that's fine. How do you sort the lines? Okay, just talk about that. How do you start, stop, and restart a service?
To start a service, you do service, the name of the service, start. To stop it, you do service, the name of the service, stop. And to restart a service, you do service, the name of the service, and restart.
Where can you find all the system log file?
So you first navigate to var.log, and then the system log files is under the log file called syslog.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That makes it 4. Then the last one should be, which command is used to find the manual page of a command?
Man,
Okay, all right, that's fine.
the
So
name of the command.
we'll be stopping here for today. The rest will be take theirs on Monday. Your style of presentation is different. It has detailed, you actually went into detail. However, you did not actually align use case scenario. You did not align use case scenario to what you're doing and in details. And you do not show command, screenshot of command. So while you're actually showing the command in lesson, the commands of application, you're only talking that you can navigate a file. You display navigating the file and actually come up with the solution. Put the screenshot there. I think that's just all I have to say for now. On Monday, we'll pick it up from there.
Okay.
The last 2 people will actually do theirs on Monday.
All right.
All right, that's fine. Your style of presentation is a
Thank
little bit different from the rest we've seen, so we have just 2 people left.
All right. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, good morning. Good day. Sorry.
Good day.